Happy holidays, Merry Christmas to the Hellbent Hollerverse. Hope you guys are having an awesome evening. Let us know you can see us and hear us. We'll get started with the show. We got a really good show here for everybody. Really good show. We got Reverend PC. Thank you, Okie, for that 5x5. Glad to be here.
Okie also brought you out the gate tonight.
Okie dokie, Smokey. Right out the gate.
That's faith, man. That's faith in us. Because this could be the worst Bigfoot show they've ever seen.
First of all,
no refunds.
No refunds. First of all, I would like to commend us on the outfit.
Commend away. Commend away.
Commend us on the outfit choices today. I didn't know you were wearing that. But we've got a Christmas Henley.
We do have a Christmas
situation going on here.
So
it's Christmas Henley season, everybody. There we go. Joe and I are wearing coordinating outfits.
Everything that Pork Chop is doing is getting hidden.
What do you mean?
He did. One second, guys. Let me just.
Pork Chop is now shadowed.
Pork Chop did a pork chop by Pork Chop, and for some reason YouTube found that offensive and hid it.
Interesting.
What have you done outside of this channel, Pork Chop, to gain the attention of YouTube?
What do you know, Pork Chop? Welcome to Hellbent Live, the live show that we do every Tuesday as of right now.
Kind of miss Mondays though, man.
I miss Mondays.
But right now we're heavy in the investigating mode, and often we're investigating into Monday nights.
Yeah, so we kind of had to move this to Tuesdays. Really cutting in on my Taco Tuesday situation.
Really cutting.
I gotta say. We did do a member stream last night to kind of update everybody on kind of where we were with some investigations that we're getting into. We did a little bouncing around Blackthorn. So we and we're going to kind of talk about a weird thing that we found while we were out in Blackthorn. I have it here on the desk. I cannot neglect mentioning that. So we're going to go into that.
Our buddy Chris did Castleberry. I too have good faith. I too have faith it'll be a good show. Castleberry was one of our top, everybody's getting their end of the year wrap up things.
Yeah.
Castleberry was like in our, I don't know, 0.05% top
banana
fans. Guess who else was one of our top fans? Us.
Yeah. So I did my wrap up. Did I do it on this phone? I did my wrap up, and you can do that on, if you go on to the YouTube app, you'll get a end of year wrap up. I remember that Spotify kind of started that end of year wrap up trend where they were like, let's take a look back on your year, all the media you've consumed. So we checked that out. We were the #1 viewers of our own channel.
Yeah, #1 viewer. I watch a lot of my own stuff. I watch a lot of me. That makes sense. So
yeah, well, we do have to make sure that everything looks good when it goes on the channel. So we do watch everything we do. So.
Surviving the Strange said, weird. I could not get the live to pull up unless I navigated directly to it. Has Pork Chop shadow banned us as well with his just association?
Breaking news. I hope not. I didn't even introduce this. My name's Jesse Doyle. This is Joe Doyle. My husband for now.
See how the holidays go.
Let's see how this holiday goes.
We ain't through the end of the year yet.
And we are Hellbent Holler. We normally do this show on Mondays. This is sort of a free-for-all discussion stream that we do with the audience. We tend to keep it pretty light unless we're talking about kidnapped girls or something like that.
When the hell have we? Oh, that's right. We did have a show about it. Yeah. Good Lord.
Thanks, Joe.
It's grim.
But we are doing investigations. I know some of you watch this show and go, do you just sit around and talk all the time now? No, we are actually in the midst of filming a brand new documentary. We are wrapping that up right now. So we've been out in the field pretty hot and heavy. And that's why we had to move the show to Tuesdays, because we've been out in the field filming that in a location that has not gotten a lot of attention over the years. But we discovered some really crazy stuff out there. We went out there with our buddy MK of Strange Backcountry, MK Ultra. He joined us. He was on the last big documentary we did for Small Town Monsters, Monster on Morris Mountain, Bigfoot Niwari. He was our field producer, our field guide out there. And he just kind of fit in with us pretty well. It's nice to have a third set of hands out there. And especially when you are in an area that seems like there's a certain level of danger. I know that
also good to have somebody else expendable out there as well, not just you.
MK
I've doubled my chances of escaping alive, for God's sake. So, Bigfoot and Wild Boy, look forward to your investigations in 2050. 2050.
I just started sweating.
Yeah. Wow.
We are doing 4 feature documentaries for small town monsters in 2026. This is what we're doing right now. The expeditions we're on right now is for the first one that we're doing, but we're going to be having, that sounds great, doesn't it? Doing great. You're doing great, Jesse. Great job.
Doing great, Jesse.
Doing great. We'll have 4 of those coming out over the course of next year. And I think that we're going to be returning to some areas. There's going to be a big surprise.
The last documentary will be a barn burner.
It's
going to be a barn burner and a bridge burner too.
Definitely going to be a bridge burner.
Going to be may the bridges that you light on fire light your way.
I'm
butchering that quote right now.
Mucho controversy. But it wouldn't be Hellbent Holler if we didn't push the envelope and really go hard at it. So looking forward to doing that, putting that out. You guys getting a whole new take on a classic area.
What could we be talking about?
But we're excited to do that. We're excited to do these projects. It's been a lot of fun.
But we're also doing our own stuff.
We are definitely doing our own stuff.
We're out in revisiting Blackthorn, the area of Blackthorn now. Blackthorn is revealing new secrets to us now. That sounded very pompous.
It does sound pompous.
Very egotistical.
People on Reddit think that you're a very pompous man.
That is the funniest thing I've ever heard. Jesse is a glutton for punishment. Well, going like a little side quest here. Jesse's a glutton for punishment. Will sometimes look up and see what people are saying about us on Reddit.
You're not supposed to tell them that.
What is it? No, I have self-esteem issues.
What?
Because of the knife. You guys remember that night? Remember that night that Jesse had that giant knife and I had some little thing and I'm like, I thought we were pulling out small knives. What? And it was a whole bit. And then I kept getting gradually increasingly larger knives throughout the show.
By the end of the show, he had just a giant knife and he's like, see, I have big knives too. That was, you guys
apparently that is a sign of my what was it a sign of? How did they
Teeny peeper.
Huh?
Teeny peeper.
Teeny peeper. Oh, Jesus.
But that's the joke. That's the bit. We have some bits here.
But we've been going into Blackthorn and the vegetation is dead. If you guys saw some of the solo stuff that I did there over the summer.
And the snakes have retreated.
Snakes have retreated. All the giant spiders are in the throes of death. It's amazing.
It was great to see the Juro spiders. There's this invasive species of spider that is all over the Southeast and all the national parks. I guess they came over on a freighter at some point in time about 3 years ago. And we've just seen an increasing population of them. They're called Juros. They look like the yellow orb weavers, but they are not.
They're bigger.
They're bigger. They also have a very distinct web. The webbing is yellowish gold. And it's very thick. It has insane tensile strength.
It's insane.
And they're insanely chaotic webs. While you have the orb weaver that has, a web and then it's beautiful. These guys have chaotic webs. They look insane. But if you see those out and about, try to kill them because they are choking out native species. So we try to throw a pine cone at them, get them down, and dispatch them as quickly as we can. But they are all dying right now.
Because we are having a bitter winter so far. Well, it's not even winter technically, but it's been bitterly cold. But the real upside of it is that a lot of the vegetation is dying out. Blackthorn's got, it's not so much that the vegetation is thick, which it is. It's very thick, but it's what the vegetation hides. All that barbed wire, the open wells, the sharp bits of metal that have been kind of put into the trees and the broken glass that's kind of put up everywhere.
Yeah.
It's it's booby trapped and it's rough to kind of move through when you can see what you're doing, but it's an invitation to just bleed out on the forest floor out there if you can't see what you're doing. So vegetation's dying back down. So we're able to kind of go into some new spots, and we did a rough estimation the other night. It's probably going to take us 10 years to fully explore this area on foot.
Yeah, and we're trying to, as we go into Blackthorn, we go into new areas. We kind of try to cover new ground. There are old forestry roads and old like roads back down in there because there were tons of like plantations and settlements and homesteads down there. So it was once a thriving area. We've been following those, but we've been getting off of that as we are wont to do. I know that if you are familiar with our videos and our investigations, you know that we get off trail. We go in these just random directions and see what we can find. And that's how we make some of our biggest discoveries out in the woods, is getting off trail, going into the depth of these areas and really being thorough. We go back and forth and we really comb these forests. And that's how we find some of the strange things that we've found over the years, is doing that, just kind of putting the miles in.
Ken Lucas with one of his odd, this is code. This is some sort of code.
Never relax around Ken Lucas.
Around Ken Lucas, but it's some sort of code. These numbers mean something. Anyway, Ken, thank you for that. I was born expendable. And then our friends over at the West Virginia Bigfoot Project. Thank you so kindly. We love y'all. But so you're going to be seeing more and more stuff from Blackthorn, just because, quite honestly, out of all of the places that we have investigated recently, that's the area that I'm most interested in, because we've gone into some weird places before. Blackthorn's like hyper weird, man. It's like extra weird on like multiple levels. The history from what we're able to uncover out there. But what's crazy is that the original reports that brought us out there were pretty mundane as far as like Bigfoot stuff goes.
It was the very first one that brought us out to Blackthorn was somebody that came into my regular job. And he told us he was out there in a boat fishing, because there is the lake there. It's like we refer to it as Blackthorn Lake sometimes. But there's a very serene, tiny little lake out there. And he was out there fishing, and he heard some noises coming from the woods and stones being thrown at his boat, because he was in this small little cove. I'm assuming between some of these many peninsulas that we've found. We didn't know these peninsulas existed when I first heard the story. I would have kind of dug into what he said a little further. But that's what brought us out there initially. It was just kind of noises from the woods, stones being thrown, yells, and it's definitely blossomed into a serious hotspot for a variety of activity.
And we'll touch upon that some tonight with our topic. I figured more Hellbenders would be professional wrestling fans. I mean, no offense, y'all are just like
I was going to touch on that.
The demographic. I am a wrestling fan myself, so that's a compliment.
I was very shocked at the disconnect between cryptid fans and wrestling fans. That we don't have a lot of overlap.
What the hell's wrong?
A lot of people did not understand the thumbnail there.
So there's a wrestler called Ric Flair. He's kind of famous. You may have heard of him.
I have a 4 horseman tattoo on my finger, guys.
Yeah, but his thing was he would always go, woo! He would do the woo. And if you've ever heard us talk about the woo, sometimes we'll bust out in a Flair woo every once in a while.
I thought it was a shoe-in. I honestly thought.
So we were doing a show about the woo, and we were like, let's do Ric Flair.
I had a whole intro, and I was like,
Bigfoot, and really hammer the woo home. She was going to do a fake Ric Flair promo spot.
Yeah.
Which are things of beauty if you've never seen them. And then we realized, oh my Lord,
they're not going to know what the heck
a lot of our people don't know what anything about Ric Flair. Somebody, and I had it started and then I got over it. When he's the father of Charlotte Flair. And I'm going, Ric Flair's known as like Charlotte Flair's father and not Ric Flair.
That's the reference point.
Of course, buddy JD. That's why I'm glad you switched to Tuesday nights instead of messing up Monday Night Raw for me.
See, that's my dude right there. That's my dude. That's a good point. We need to foster. Maybe that's why we don't have a lot of wrestling fans, because we started out on Monday nights.
Oh, damn.
You know what I'm saying? We were Monday nights for so long that we excluded ourselves from the wrestling fan demographic. But now we're on Tuesday nights. We can try to, let's bring the people into the fold.
So we might have to sidetrack here real quick.
Why?
Buddy Okie says the goat. Stingray. Flair pinched my girlfriend's butt. I was okay with it. I mean, it's Ric Flair. So when I was a kid, quick little wrestling story.
We're going to tell Ric Flair stories.
When I was a kid, Ric Flair is my favorite wrestler.
It's Christmas. We can do what we want.
And my uncles weren't that much older than me. You know, they were in their teens. I'm probably like, I don't know, 10, 11, 12, something like that. I don't know. They took me to the...
I like to imagine you looked exactly like you do now.
Pretty much the exact same.
Just like a short version, still gray hair, beard. Yeah. You're just like a...
But
it's like when Frank Reynolds was young Frank Reynolds, they just put a wig on him, you know? Go on.
So, I kind of just want to stop talking and watch this chat right now.
Tell your Ric Flair story.
But hold on, I'm getting it. So they, this is back when Ric Flair was the limousine riding,
kiss stealing,
jet flying, son of a gun. That was his whole shtick. So we're going to an expo center, like where they do like tractor pulls and stuff like that. Well, they're professional wrestling. This is like back before wrestling got really big with like Hulk Hogan and all that. So Ric Flair was wrestling Jimmy Snuka. Remember Jimmy Snuka? Superfly, Jimmy Snuka. They pulled over in the small regional airport parking lot to basically drink before the thing because,
as one does,
a borderline child endangerment or abuse, probably with me being in the car, but as a different time.
It was the 80s.
It was a different time back then. So there's a white limousine on the tarmac of the airplane, of the runway. So they're joking that it's Ric Flair's because he's a limousine rider, right? So they're sitting there, and the limousine, the white limousine, big bright white limousine, pulls around and kind of like pulls up, and they're going, "What's going on with that?" And like a few minutes later, a freaking Learjet lands, and now the Ric Flair jokes are just going on about like, "Oh, it's Ric Flair's plane," blah 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 blah. Nobody really thought he did that stuff.
It's probably full of supermodels.
So, the plane lands, the limo taxis up to it. Somebody gets out, gets in it. They go. They drive out. Then they kind of stop and kind of turn back around to where we are. So, of course, my uncles are trying to hide the beer and everything like that. And the limousine pulls up and the driver's window rolls down and he asks where the expo center is. So my uncles are like half in the bag, nervous teens, blah, blah, blah. They're trying to explain it to him. The rear window rolls down. It is Ric Flair. It's legit Ric Flair. Ric Flair did land in a freaking Learjet and got into a white limousine. Craziest stuff ever. So now everybody in the car is flipping out because it's Ric Flair. And Ric Flair is just kind of going, got to kind of get to this match, guys, or you guys aren't going to see it. Can you tell me how to get there? I've been there a couple times before, but I can't remember. And this driver that I've got doesn't know how to get there. So they give him directions. And my one uncle goes, "Hey, my nephew is a huge fan of yours. Can we get your autograph for him?" And Ric Flair's like, "Yeah, let me get a piece of paper, pen, blah, blah, blah." Asks the driver for it. The driver's like rooting around. Ric Flair says something about like crappy limousine service. They got me. The guy didn't know where he's going to. Didn't have any paper in the car. Driver can't find any pen or paper. So Ric Flair goes, "Listen, I got to go, guys. See me after the match, and I'll hook you guys up with like an autograph." So we're like, "Oh, okay, thanks, Ric Flair. You beat Jimmy Snuka." Limousine pulls off, goes 20 feet forward, reverses back. Ric Flair goes, "Kid, come here." Leans out the window, and he's got like a $50 bill that he has signed his signature on. And he goes, "If you spend this, I'm going to put you in the figure 4," because that was like his signature move.
Yes, sir, Mr. Flair.
Yes, sir, Mr. Flair. It's the biggest highlight of my young life at that point. Flash forward a few decades, and I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina, on when I was actually had like a somewhat normal life. I was on a business trip.
Back when you were a jet set and kiss stealing, high flying son of a gun.
I'm in a Chili's in the Charlotte airport.
You definitely modeled your life.
Half in the bag myself at this point, waiting for a flight that's been delayed. And I hear, and the Chili's is packed, and I hear from a table over, somebody goes,
"It was a wild night."
And it's not Flair, it's somebody imitating Flair, but I perk up. And one of the guys goes, "Plane broken down." "What do you mean the plane's broken down? Ric Flair will just carry that plane." And I'm like, that's a weird thing to say. So the plane's broken down, which I find out. Apparently these dudes had learned that before me. Get a new flight. Okay. They move us all to a new flight. I get bumped up to first class, which is bananas to me. Okay. I'm also like now, like have like in the bag trying to get into some overly stiff, trying not to embarrass myself. I get into first class and I'm on an aisle seat and I'm sitting there. Who gets on the plane? It's Ric Flair.
The man himself.
Ric Flair gets on the plane with who I thought was one of his daughters.
It was, spoiler alert.
That becomes important to me. And they sit in the aisle right across from me. And I'm just going, oh my God, it's Ric Flair. It's Ric Flair. And so everybody, the plane boards, everything like that, you know, the stewardess comes down, asks if I want anything to drink. And I'm like, no, I'm fine. And Ric Flair goes, bullcrap. I saw you in Chili's. You were drinking rum and Coke. Get him a double rum and Coke. Da, 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 da. And I'm going to turn around and here's my in with Ric Flair. I'm going to tell him that story.
This is my chance.
I'm going to tell him the story about when I met him as a kid. And he gave me that $50 bill, which I don't ever know what happened to it. One of my uncles probably spent it. And I turn around and for the only time in my life, I'm like starstruck. I just go, thanks, Ric Flair. And then just drop my head. That's all I can get up. And then I sat there and then just drink my other like double rum and Coke, get the courage up, turn back around to like talk to Ric Flair. And he's making out with a chick that I thought was his daughter. Wasn't his daughter at all. Just some stripper he picked up somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Moral of my story. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like, because I myself have had 2 run-ins with Ric Flair in my life. Now, I feel like if you are from the Southeast, you've had like a couple of run-ins with Ric Flair, right?
Yeah.
I feel like everybody down here
has got a Ric Flair story.
Has a Ric
Unless
Flair
you
story.
watch our show.
My mother, when she was a teenager, assaulted Ric Flair. And was thrown out of an event because she jumped over a barricade. She was like 80 pounds. Jumped on Ric Flair's back and started assaulting him and was thrown out of the event. This is, I think, when he was in Mid-Atlantic at the time. But I think everybody in the Southeast, do we not, of our like my generation and later, earlier, dude, we need to take a poll on that. Do you all have Ric Flair stories? I have like 2 or 3. I have like 2 run-ins with
stories that lives here. You know what I'm saying? So. Matt Axeman, thank you so much for that, sir. And then just all these people, like Sam Burton was friends with Macho Man Randy Savage. That makes a weird kind of sense to me. David Gardner was like worked security for Ric Flair.
Oh, awesome.
Craziness. But anyway, Ric Flair's signature, like his signature, like what would you call that? Like signature, it's not his catchphrase because it's not a phrase. He was famous for just going on these crazy rants and then going, woo! And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. We're
going to talk about the woo, friends.
The woo. Actually, you know what? Let's just skip the Bigfoot stuff and just talk about professional
We're going to talk about Ric Flair all day. Oh, I already had this on here. Look at that.
What do you got?
Nothing.
Okay. I took care of that. I did it from my phone. So everybody's just telling...
I got some stuff marked from earlier in the thing. I'm going to take a little sip of this. We're both under the weather a little bit because of being out in the cold. But I got to tell you, we are definitely encountering some of this woo ourselves.
Definitely encountering some of this woo
and it wasn't just, I feel like it's all kind of lining up. You know, Christmas is a very magical time of year. You feel like there's just some sort of like, there's like Vaseline on the lens. You know what I'm saying?
What? How did the Vaseline get on the lens?
Because everything's got like a starry look to it. It's there's like a sheen, a cloud. You'd put Vaseline. Never mind.
Okay.
Never mind, Dad. Sorry, I thought you were a cinematographer, but apparently you don't understand the Vaseline on the lens trick.
The Vaseline. Everybody here has got like crazy Ric Flair stories at this point. You know, we just need to have a Ric Flair call-in show one night and just tell us your Ric Flair story. And you can make stuff up. I really don't care as long as it sounds good. Just make it up. Make it just the crazier and crazier possible, like Ric Flair stories. But
anyway, I was saying that it seems like that there's a little bit, you know, always around the holiday season, there is a little magic in the air. And we just had the release of David Paulides' latest documentary. And it really explores this sort of magical side of Bigfoot. And you and I, in our investigations over the past month and a half, have really started to encounter some bizarre stuff. And over the past few days, we encountered some really bizarre stuff in Blackthorn.
And, you know, it's weird because you guys, if you watched the show, I think we lost like 40 people just talking about Ric Flair, but that's all right. This wasn't going to be the show for them anyway. I started out
Those are people we don't want around.
I started out very exclusively like flesh and blood, first undiscovered ape. Then as I experienced more and got more and more into it, because no matter how into the topic you are, you need like time in it. You know what I'm saying? Almost
to marinate.
Not like a ton of time, but I'm just saying, you know, you need time to like read everything you will need to read and experience stuff. And
I feel like you need time also to kind of get, kind of steep yourself in it to the degree that you come into it and you maybe have like a level of confidence to yourself. I think you need a little time in it to get knocked the F out a few times, you know, and really get your face shoved in the dirt and realize you don't know anything and you have no idea. You don't have a single bit of a grasp on what is going on here. That's what happened to me, is that I quickly realized that none of the theories I originally had matched up with the reality of what's going on out there. And I always like say that I don't understand people who get like a huge ego doing this stuff, because for me, it's been an ego killer. This weekend was an ego killer, you know, when I'm just standing there going, this means something, but I don't know what it means. I don't have the proper lens to view it through, the lens with Vaseline to view it through. I don't have the lexicon. I don't have the what was that? The Enigma machine that they used to break like codes in World War II. I'm looking at something. It means something. I just don't know what it is. And that's an ego killer to go out there. And it's so easy for people to set on like lawn chairs around campfires and tell everybody that, you know, well, Bigfoot is obviously this. And I'm glad that you have such certainty of knowledge from your comfortable spot next to the fire, because we're out there busting through the brush and we don't know what the hell's going on. You know what I'm saying? We don't know what's going on, but with fire in our loins.
But what's crazy is that, again, like I've talked about this, I was fairly conversant and familiar with like folklore, mythology, you know, a lot of like belief systems all across the planet. And I figured that was just, you know, a lot of times people are storytellers, you know. I just sat there and told a crazy story about Ric Flair. People are storytellers and people want to explain things away. And I just figured that's what a lot of like superstition and legend and everything like that was based upon. And then you get out there and you just have this moment of like, where all of a sudden you go, oh crap, I thought I had all this figured out, and I don't have anything figured out at all. And it's, especially when it comes to, let's just call it the woo side of like Bigfoot. Maybe some people don't experience it at all. You know what I'm saying? But I also think that some people are out there hearing natural wildlife, seeing bear tracks and all of that, and they think that they're interacting with Bigfoot because a lot of people want to interact with Bigfoot. But so many people have these experiences that are like woo related, and all of a sudden you see two different types of mental gymnastics. You see mental gymnastics to explain mundane things as Bigfoot activity, and then another set of mental gymnastics, a separate event, to explain away the weird stuff that's happening out there. And it's just, over the past few years especially, I mean, I'll tell people this, at this point, I had a sighting of something when I was a kid. I might have been hoaxed. I might have dreamed it. Maybe I saw Bigfoot. I don't know. Other than that, since we've been doing this, we've seen like shadowy figures that are too fast to film. We've caught, I don't know what those are, but I will say that some of the thermal stuff we have looks and behaves like you would expect Sasquatch to look and behave. But we didn't see it with the naked eye. We've caught some crazy vocalizations. We found a few tracks that were interesting. But to me, a lot of times, some of the weirder stuff is more real than just the baseline Bigfoot stuff. The shadow figure we caught in the city, let's just call it the City Boy investigation. Some of the stuff that we've caught like that, the equipment interference, some of the disembodied voices that we've caught on there. And I was somebody who just really didn't put a lot of like credence in like paranormal stuff, you know what I'm saying? Until you're there and you start to experience it. And especially when you start to document it on video and audio.
You can't deny what you're seeing before your very eyes. You can't deny what you're personally experiencing. And then you come home, you take that SD card, you put it in the computer, you look at that footage and you're seeing it again. You're reliving it right there. You can't deny that this is happening when we catch it on these cameras. You have it right there.
Whitaker.
Curtis,
don't hurt us.
Don't hurt us.
Curtis probably wrapped up my Ric Flair story. That's what I'm telling you right now. But thank you, Curtis.
MK asked if Ric Flair had a fucking, I said Evan, sorry. Ric Flair had a 6-way tag match with some crawlers.
Thank you for that, Curtis. We really greatly appreciate you. But you know, right now, because of the Paulides documentary came out, and we're gonna preface this. I know everybody's issue with David Paulides nowadays. Their Missing 411 has had a lot of like debunking efforts on it.
Did you get some clarification on like precisely what the issues were? Because I was under the impression that people were angry about cherry picking of cases. There was just a selective, that he was very selective with which cases he highlighted because they fit his pattern, that fit his narrative that he was forming in his books. But what are the other issues that seem to be?
I'll address that, but I don't want us to get caught up on that too much.
Okay,
because I don't want that sort of show. I hate debunking shows,
right?
Just because it stops being debunking at some point, and it ends up being, well, you're putting something forward that either takes attention away from me or conflicts with my pet theory. Therefore, I'm going to debunk you. You know, becomes a circular firing squad, which really. I'm just like, let people make up their own minds on stuff. You know, I'm not going to spend all my time trying to debunk somebody because then guess what? 10 more are going to crop up and then I got to debunk them.
Yeah.
I just, intelligent people can get to the bottom of things on their own. People who are given to being deceived by that sort of stuff are going to be deceived by the next one that comes along. So why bother? But I think a lot of people, I think that the allegations are that he has misrepresented some of the cases somehow. Maybe cherry picked some information out, maybe presented them. And guess what? I don't know if that's true or not. I haven't read all the Missing 411 books. The original concept was very interesting. We know that there have been some mysterious disappearances in some of the areas that we investigate that quite honestly have never been mentioned in a Missing 411 book, but kind of fit that pattern that he came up with. And just like I'm not a scholar on Missing 411, I really haven't seen any of the debunking stuff either. So I don't know what's real and what's not real. But we're just going to acknowledge that and then just
isn't that just like the ethos for life there?
Yeah, we're gonna shelve that. We're not gonna deal with that tonight. We're gonna deal with the fact that this documentary came out. It's focused on, let's just call it the woo side of Bigfoot, and that it is positing that people are experiencing something other than an undiscovered ape or what amounts to, let's just call it a caveman to overly simplify it. Okay. A relic hominid. And that's a lot of the experiences that people have had out there. Those two explanations don't really fit what people have experienced out there. Now, again, with anything that is a larger work, you don't have to agree with everything in it. Okay. There are people that are in this chat right now that I talk to on a daily basis in the Discord who loved our Morris Mountain documentary, but disagree with us on certain things on it. And guess what? That's fine. You know what I'm saying? These are people that I respect and we can agree to disagree. And guess what? They have valid opinions on stuff.
And you never get any progress in the conversation if you exist entirely in an echo chamber. And you don't want to be surrounded entirely by yes men.
Yeah.
Because you'll never get better. You'll never improve at what you're doing. If that's your goal, to get better at what you're doing. If you have people around you constantly telling you you're perfect and everything is great and you can't, there is no improving it, then you'll never improve it.
So,
and you can't have that echo chamber situation.
My thing is that I like discussion on stuff and people bringing like relevant, fresh ideas to like things. None of us know everything. In our Discord, we'll often chime in and go, quick, somebody tell me this, because we've got a ton of weird experts that have kind of like gathered around this channel, and it's an amazing thing. And we've got people that are pure flesh and blood proponents. We have people that think that it's like an undiscovered ape that are in our core group of people. And guess what? I don't discount that. We were talking about that last night a bit, is that before we watched this David Paulides documentary, which again focuses on the woo aspect of things, I'd spent a few days kind of researching primate avoidance of humans, certain primates that at times people will think have gone extinct because they're so elusive. Very small population, numbers. They're in terrain that lends itself to basically just staying out of the view of humans. And they have learned behaviors to stay out of like the way of humans. And I'm looking at this going, well, that kind of makes sense. And now you add in a human level intelligence to all of this, and yeah, something could maybe stay hidden. So I'm not completely discounting like the flesh and blood Bigfoot aspect, but I am going to say the weird stuff's real. The weird stuff is very real. And where Bigfoot is often theoretical for me, like what is it? The woo stuff is there. I don't know if we were capable of understanding it, but it seems to exist outside the realm of like known science.
And maybe that boggle threshold situation is why a lot of people just reject it outright. It's scary. I mean, that's terrifying. It's terrifying.
People don't like a mystery. People think they like mysteries. People like a mystery that then they can then lecture you about what the answer for the mystery.
Yeah, or a mystery that gets wrapped up at the end of the book or the movie. They don't like anything that's open-ended. They don't like something that they can't put a bow on at the end of the day. That's terrifying, because what does that say about our nature as people? What happens when we die? What happens? You know what I'm saying? Like the questions start to come off of the subject of Bigfoot, which is a hobby for a lot of people and something fun that they do. And it starts to pose some real philosophical questions to them about what is really out there. Am I alone here? No, I'm not. There's something else that is completely foreign to me, completely alien to me, that I don't understand, that could harm me. And I don't know how to defend against it. And that's terrifying for people to admit.
Well, it's newsflash. A lot of people don't work themselves into public facing positions in the Bigfoot topic because they're really looking for answers. They're doing that so that they can get some like level of notoriety.
Well, I got bad news for you.
Got bad news for you. But they get notoriety in like fairly small, like social circles that, are just kind of geared towards this sort of stuff. But I think we're kind of like out in left field a lot, because I'm just going, I don't know what it is. You know what I'm saying? If it's flesh and blood, though, there's some really weird stuff that follows along with it.
Yeah.
Okay. There's some really weird stuff that follows along with it. Or the weird stuff is sometimes, I was thinking about this like earlier when we were talking about doing the show tonight. When you get right down to brass tacks, the equipment malfunctions, a lot of the other weird stuff, even like the zapping, nobody really knows that that's related to Bigfoot.
It could just be happenstance that it occurs in areas that are maybe known for Bigfoot, but unless you have that one-on-one sighting where you see it and then you have the experience, you can't attribute what's occurring to Bigfoot. Well, you don't know that it's Bigfoot that is producing whatever the zapping effect is, whether it be whatever people think it is. You got to go from the starting point of, we don't know it's Bigfoot that's causing this.
Well, it's a lot of Bigfoot hotspots are based upon clusters of type B sightings.
Yeah.
And if you look at the type B sightings, why do you think Bigfoot is in this area? Well, people have heard some weird screams. They've had stuff thrown at them.
Possibly prints.
They've got smells. They've got this and that. And a lot of times, even the prints may have nothing to do with Bigfoot at all. People are just so geared to thinking anything weird in the woods has to be Bigfoot related.
And could you say that about our investigations into places like Blackthorn? I mean, you and I have never had a one-on-one sighting in Blackthorn of that, but now we're starting to see evidence that is pointing towards something that is entirely not akin to Bigfoot. It's not. It doesn't
appear to be.
It doesn't appear. It doesn't correlate with what you would consider traditional Bigfoot evidence.
Well, my thing is that the woo aspect of it is real, whether people want it to be or not, and it is.
You better start believing in.
It's
in ghost stories because you're in one.
Yeah, it's and I don't know what I guess the part of the reason why it's so looked down upon is that people don't want to be thought of as being silly, and we're in the Bigfoot community, man. Everybody thinks we're silly. Everybody out. If only these people would stop talking about strange stuff, scientists would take us seriously. No, scientists aren't going to take us seriously.
First of all, also, it's not a crime to be a silly goose.
Yeah.
You know, it's just not.
You're being arrested on suspicion of being a silly goose. But my thing is that the weird stuff's happening, and like 40 in Tennessee says, if you've been doing research into this stuff for a while, you've not experienced the woo, have a hard time believe you've been researching very much at all. I keep drawing a parallel to how the UFO topic has evolved over the past, 10, 15 years or so. At first, like the nuts and bolts, these are like alien spacecraft. They're traveling through space. They're entering our atmosphere. They're doing stuff, and then they're leaving, was the prevalent theory on this. And that's what all of the serious, like Stanton Friedman and stuff like that, all the serious big, like UFO guys, that's what they did. And all of the more like exotic theories and stories were kind of like the purview of like Weekly World News and like the National Enquirer and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But the nuts and bolts craft thing was pretty much the only thing. And they would complain if these people with like the weirder aspects of this would just shut up and go away, science would start taking us seriously. And now the serious scientists are involved in this stuff. We have very credible, serious, well-respected mainstream scientists involved in the UFO topic. And pretty much universally, they will discuss about how there's something going on beyond physical craft here. It ties it with consciousness somehow, that there is something going on that goes beyond our understanding of like the physical world. They behave, they observe.
And you've got the greatest minds in the world, like your love, Gary Nolan.
Yes.
You've got the greatest minds in the world who, Gary Nolan has more medical patents than I think anyone on record at this point, correct?
Yeah.
Close enough. But the greatest minds in the world are very interested in the UFO subject. They are diving into it. They're dedicating their lives to it. They're dedicating their careers to it. They're putting their careers on the line for it. There has to be something there. And I think that there's definitely something there with the Bigfoot subject. And it's a matter of time before that level of seriousness comes to the land of Bigfoot.
Well, but guess what? You're going to, I feel comfortable saying this, that if we ever did, and yeah, there have been a few mainstream, scientists who were like, in the biological sciences that have gotten involved in this. Jeff Meldrum, God rest his soul, being the predominant one. We also haven't advanced the topic really in decades at this point.
No.
And that part of it is because we have been unwilling to really discuss or even look at the Bigfoot phenomenon as a whole, which unfortunately includes a lot of the weirder stuff. And if it's not caused by Bigfoot, then why is it? It could be just as simple as going these are different phenomena. There's the Bigfoot thing, and then there's all these other weird things that cause the equipment issues, the zapping, the this, the that. And they just happen to inhabit the same area because it's isolated. There could be a very easy explanation as to why they are sometimes experienced together. Maybe they're completely unrelated topics other than the habitat that they are basically, you find them in. But if we start getting people of a scientific bend involved in this, they're going to look at the phenomenon as a whole, much like they did the UFO topic.
Yeah.
You know, the guy that was originally with Skinwalker Ranch, Robert Bigelow, the guy that started the National Institute of Discovery Science, the one that was basically almost had his hands on the UFO until the CIA stepped in and blocked him. When he got out of the Skinwalker Ranch, he basically started up studies on life after death. Mm-hmm. Because he saw a connection somehow. You know, a lot of people that have UFO encounters report seeing the spirits, well, not the spirits, they report seeing dead relatives and loved ones.
Yeah.
That are literally walking around. If I remember correctly, Whitley Strieber had that happen. And if you look back through history, we're trying to come up with a different term to use it, but just for right now, the fae, elves, fairies, whatever, they were often accompanied by the spirits of people's deceased loved ones, mm-hmm. much like the alien. Now, you don't really see that with Bigfoot, but you see a lot of this other stuff with it. You see what could be considered poltergeist activity. When people are in homes that supposedly have poltergeist, what do you have? Electronics malfunctioning, strange moans, screams, whatever. Things are being thrown. Now you just change the locale, and instead of being in your home, you're in a stretch of woods right now, and people go, oh, well, that must be Bigfoot. You know, even the footprint aspect of it. We've talked about this in the past. Remember one of the early ways to tell if there was a ghost in the house? You put flour on the floor.
And then see the prints.
You'd see disembodied footprints that seem to just appear and then disappear. That has a direct parallel to a lot of the Bigfoot tracks that people find. Mm-hmm. But I just think that as my way of thinking has kind of evolved, the topic's gotten a lot more confusing. And I think that's all. I think there's a few reasons why people don't at least discuss the possibility of the woo. It's you got to admit it. We've got some people involved in the Bigfoot communities in positions of like visibility that probably got their lunch money stolen a few times when they were kids. You know what I'm saying?
Or did some stealing of lunch money.
No, we do not have that outside of very few, but we have people that now they're in a position to kind of like, you know, be the ones riding on people, you know, being the ones who are like insulting others. And you see that a lot.
As a revenge.
Yeah.
For their own personal issues that they have.
So you see that. And so there's that. There's the fact that for some people are so simplistic with this topic. You have to be you have to have a very wide spectrum.
What sets Joe off real bad? Occam's razor, Joe. Occam's razor.
Occam's razor cuts both ways.
And so do I.
It's well, you know, the simplest explanation is not always the. It's simple to you. Simple is a frame of mind. Okay, simple is subjective. That is a subjective thing. What you think is the simplest like explanation may not be somebody else's simplest explanation. And don't explain one mystery with another. Why the hell not? Maybe another mystery is the answer. You know,
we got a whole slew.
We're putting a lot of self-imposed boundaries on something that we don't really have hardly any information on at all.
And I want to kind of reverse a little bit here. Go back to a point that you were discussing earlier about, say you had somebody like Gary Nolan that was interested in the Bigfoot topic. Say he just decided one day he's going to just start pursuing this. Is he not going to look at novel ways to investigate this? And that would mean something like pulling the thread on these more paranormal aspects of Bigfoot. Because have we not beaten the relic hominid theory to death to the point that you can't really pull on that thread anymore. We need to kind of go different routes and sort of pull those threads there and investigate those other possibilities. And maybe that will bring you back around, but you can't just keep hammering at the same thing over and over and expecting something new to come out of it.
Well, I mean, like I said earlier, before we watched this documentary, I was looking into primate avoidance, how populations of primates have active efforts to avoid people, because that obviously goes hand in hand with Bigfoot if it's flesh and blood.
Right.
But here's the deal. Me being very open to the fact that the woo exists, I'm still interested in learning that what if it is a flesh and blood thing with just some weird stuff tacked onto it? Well, how would it do that? You don't really see that willingness to explore other ideas in the pure flesh and blood camps. There's a few outlier people that are very open-minded, some of them in this chat right now. But a lot of them are just like, it's almost like that would be a defeat for them to even like acknowledge that something like that is real. And one of the other things that I was going to before that I think, it's because people get their pet theories and they like being the Bigfoot guy and, it's an ape and da-da-da-da-da. And then they can kind of look down on the woo people, which is, again, it's ridiculous. We're all involved in a topic that mainstream people think is silly. Don't think that to outsiders, there's any hierarchy with us. We're all considered very weird and kind of ridiculous to like mainstream people.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Speak for yourself.
The other thing too is, I just lost my train of thought. The other thing too is that it opens up a lot of questions outside the topic of Bigfoot. That if this more paranormal type stuff is real.
Yeah.
And also for a lot of people, let's just get right down to it. Bigfoot is secondary to being involved in this. I've never understood the mindset that goes along with traditional Bigfoot people. They'll be out in an area and they find a fresh track. The search is called off at that point.
There you have it, folks.
We got to cast this track and take it home and put it with my other cast tracks. And I'm like, you're not looking for Bigfoot. You're looking for footprints that you can cast. It becomes like very obsessive, and that's what people are really into. The Bigfoot thing, whether they admit it or not. I mean, when we were with MK in the area we're working on this latest documentary, we found some tracks going down into a ravine, and they were really good tracks. What did we do? We
went into the ravine.
We quickly took photos, measured them, and then ran into the ravine.
Yeah.
We didn't just stop and go, okay, this expedition is over because we found a really good track. And that happens. That happens out there. That's one of the reasons why we made a conscious decision that we didn't want to get involved in track casting. That too, we're on foot and casting material is heavy. It takes up all your water, and then you got to transport it back. It's easy to do when it's on the side of the road, but when you're out 5-8 miles into the woods, it's
completely impractical.
But it's just,
I'd rather a battery over a casting material.
They're more into the Bigfoot culture than.
Well, you have to look at that too, that there's also that factor that there's such a social structure around Bigfooting, and that's why not all people have the same motivations when it comes to doing this stuff. Not everybody approaches everything like we do. Very few, if any, people do. But that, and you can't knock anybody for that, but they also can't fight you fervently about the existence of what you're finding and what you're experiencing.
Well, but here's the deal. I mean, it's the fact that I guess if we had gotten into this as like traditional Bigfooters, we had our little bats that we'd hit the trees with, and we'd do our calls, and we would like cast our tracks and everything like that. I guess you get hyper fixated upon that very narrow slice of the phenomenon, and you're worried about becoming a better track caster. And let me make better tracks, and I'm going to try different wood on my bat. Where we've taken the opposite approach is that we keep trying to cast a wider and wider and wider and wider net.
Yeah.
And I've always told people that we take a real holistic approach to this stuff. And I encourage other people to do that. Like if you want to approach it like a flesh and blood thing and cast your tracks and all that, knock yourself out. If you want to sit in like a forest clearing with like a harp and try to like mind meld with
or
them
my
whatever.
favorite guy in the world with the drum set.
Yeah. Do whatever you want to do. Knock yourself out. We need a bunch of people trying a bunch of different stuff because honestly, what we've been doing for the past few decades has not really had the best of results at this point. And I think that too, it gets to the point where you're leaving data on the table. You're out looking for Bigfoot in an area where you think Bigfoot exists because there have been sightings of Bigfoot there and we have found tracks there. And then this other weird stuff happens. And basically anybody in the group gets ostracized for acknowledging the reality of what's going on around you just because that reality happens to be weird. I have such a hard time with this breaking levels of weirdness down in this hierarchy. This is acceptable weirdness. This is weirdness that we're going to make fun of you for acknowledging or looking at. I mean, and I just think that, you know, we've complained about it in the past. And I think now and I understand why, because guess what? The woo does attract some people that are mentally ill or just spinning a bunch of BS for their own like gratification. I understand that. From my point of view, the flesh and blood stuff attracts just as many people of that caliber.
100%.
100%. A lot. Just because you're saying that it behaved like a monkey, your story's still, you're crazy. Your story's crazy. You're making it up.
And it's still the flesh and blood hypothesis and their proponents. Everything there is just as unprovable as the woo components.
Yeah.
You know, you are at the same level. You guys are at the same level. And I think I discussed this last night in the member stream. A lot of times you have to look at this, and this is with any sort of niche or subculture or anything, is you've got a horseshoe and you've got the extremes on either end, and these people are just immovable. You've got these really, really extreme people on either end, and you have to question some of their motivations, and you have to question, you know, that basically the common sense that they have for them to be so fervent about being on either end of this horseshoe. And really the goal here, and you can even say that with things like with any kind of genre, but the goal is to reach those people there in the curve of the horseshoe,
it's,
you know?
it's okay to go. There are Bigfoot encounters, experiences, whatever you want to call them, that do seem like people have interacted with flesh and blood creatures. Some of them behave more like people. Some of them appear more animalistic. And that's cool, and you could acknowledge that. But just because that happens doesn't mean that the other stuff doesn't happen. It just, and when people just go, well, that's impossible. We're talking about a 7 to 9 foot tall hairy primate that exists in 21st century North America and has, as of yet, for some reason, evaded official discovery. And now you want to start calling things crazy? The whole damn thing is crazy. None of this makes sense. You know what I'm saying? None of this makes sense. And once you actually experience that stuff that gets into the real weird stuff, everything's on the table at this point. And it's weird because I will hear people tell us stories. We joke about it on this show sometimes. The murder slug guy. Remember that? The guy that saw the slug in the trees that we met at Tennessee with Randy and them. Mm-hmm. Guy saw what he thought was like a predatory invertebrate in the trees where he was at. And he was like obsessed with trying to find it again. That's a crazy story. The guy was very believable in the way he told it. I have seen other people tell less crazy stories in a very non-believable manner. And I'm going, you're just making this up.
I think that predatory invertebrate is a good insult, though, that we need to probably keep in our back pockets.
Be a good band name as well.
Yeah. Listen here, you predatory invertebrate. That's a good one. Scribe.
So but my thing is this, is that the UFO community didn't really start making any headway until they just went, all right, let's acknowledge what's happening here. Yes, there are things that appear to be physical craft, but there's a lot of other stuff going on too. Same thing with the Bigfoot thing. Now, and again, there might be more than one thing going on out there. There might be more than one thing going out there that have similar physical appearances. I mean, some Bigfoot reports basically say it's a big, hairy human being. Others, they're basically large apes. Some of them have snouts. And yeah, I know there's variation within species, but there might be different types of things going on out there. And I think that until we get open to a lot of these possibilities, that doesn't mean you need to like completely stop casting your tracks or banging on your trees with your little bats or doing anything like that. Keep approaching this in the manner that you want to approach it. But at least don't just, there's so many people that such a huge part of their day and the Bigfoot community is spent dogging very credible people out who have had different experiences than what they've had.
Yeah.
Instead of just going, well, that's weird. That's not what I encountered. This is a lot stranger than what I thought it was. And people always go, you know, scientists don't take us seriously because of the crazy talk. No, scientists don't take us seriously because a lot of the very public facing Bigfoot people are kind of laughable because of the self-importance that they carry into this.
Shots fired. As
opposed to just going, I don't have any answers. I don't have any answers for you at all. I don't have any answers. All I can tell you is this is what's going on. And I'd like to have some answers, you know, because that has not really hurt the UFO community to do that.
No.
Now you've got world-renowned scientists involved in this going, wow, there is some weird activity happening that doesn't line up with our understanding of the universe.
But if more, well, I do, first of all, welcome to the membership, Haunting Cryptids. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much. We are community supported with all of this stuff.
You know what?
We actually got
Haunting Cryptids. You get a little dog.
Some sort of like weird, like homeopathic medicine.
No, it wasn't. It was like you could order prescription drugs from home.
We have to keep prescription drugs away from our viewership here.
I think everybody here has all the prescription drugs they need.
Probably more than they need.
But you know, you got to think too when you think about this and how people approach this or how people treat this. You got these people who are long standing in the Bigfoot world who are like, I'm a scientist, man. You know, well, they're not scientists. They're, you know, retired people who have a lot of time on their hands who refer to themselves as scientific people. They have a stranglehold on some areas of this whole genre, right? So if more people get involved who are actually, you know, people who are intelligent or credible or anything like that, wouldn't that push them aside? Wouldn't they be pushed aside now? And their stranglehold have to loosen, their grip on the community loosen? And they would lose that? Is that perhaps, are there personal motivations for defending this so fervently?
I think a lot of people they're so into the idea of the Harry and the Hendersons type Bigfoot, you know? And I think it's a way for them to kind of puff up their own egos to then just be very dismissive to some of the other weird. And this has always been the case. UFO people hate the ghost people. Ghost people hate the Bigfoot people. Everybody hates the Dogman people. That's always been the way of it.
Para-unity.
And then and there's no community. There's hundreds, if not more, smaller little communities that are all just kind of basically interested in the same thing.
Just warring tribes.
Yeah. And it's to the point where I'm seeing such a weird shift here. Because again, I'm looking at, and again, the David Paulides documentary, if you've not seen it, it's exceptionally well done. I don't agree with everything that's presented in it, nor do I have to. Okay. The overall topic, the thing that I walked away from going is, damn, the people that are suggesting the strangest ideas as far as like the Bigfoot topic goes, come across thoughtful, well-spoken, nuanced. They understand the complexity of the phenomenon, and they come across very open-minded.
Two brain cells to rub together.
Yeah, and you don't see that on the documentaries that treat it just like it's an ape. And I'm going, and it might be an ape. I don't know. It might be an ape. One of our pet theories is, one of our wild-ass theories, is that maybe there's a flesh and blood creature out there that gets some sort of weird paranormal attachments far easier than people do.
It's being terrorized by the paranormal.
Maybe the Bigfoot's out there going, what the hell are these weird lights that are constantly following us around? They just show up sometimes and we'll be out and something will start throwing rocks at us.
That's a wild-ass theory.
That is a wild-ass theory. Maybe the Bigfoot are just as mystified by the weird stuff as we are, but they know that when the hairless ones come into the woods, their equipment malfunctions in this area.
They're so stressed. That's what a stressful existence these Bigfoot have. Thank you, Haunting Cryptids, for that. Also,
Haunting Cryptids, thank you so much.
Haunting Cryptids. You know, you got to think too. I think what I really enjoyed is with the Paulides documentary is that it's like you said before. It was people who were very nuanced and thoughtful. It was really refreshing to have people put together coherent thoughts and ideas and theories, and then engage in sort of a conversation on a conversational level about it, and sort of say, I don't know what this is, but this is what's happening. This is what I think is going on. And I think one of the issues with a lot of other documentaries or presentations of the material as like a relic hominid or something like that is that people want to instruct you. They want to tell you what is going on, not engage in any sort of dialogue or exchange of ideas whatsoever. It's more that let me tell you what's going on. Let me instruct you on what's happening. And instead of it being sort of a collaborative conversation between everyone who is all trying to figure this out.
It's listen to the Bigfoot expert.
Listen to the Bigfoot. I am a Bigfoot expert.
I like the way we do it as far as like exploring thought experiments.
Of course.
So here's a thought experiment.
And I think one of the Reddit comments was talking about how you contradict your own thinking.
All the time I contradict my own thinking.
And somebody was like, in the same paragraph or the same sentence. And I'm like, yes, that's called taking different positions.
Yeah, because
you have to take different positions to have critical thought about anything. You can't it's not debate class. You know, you're not defending a position 100%. You have to be able to put yourself into other people's shoes and other people's perspectives, or, you know, go into these thought experiments. Otherwise, you're going to miss something. You're going to miss a lot of something.
Well, the thing is that people will go, there's no experts in the Bigfoot field, and then proceed to tell you and act like they're an expert. No, I contradict myself all the time because, quite honestly, at this point, I know that the woo exists, but yet I'm looking at primate avoidance of humans. I'm looking at stuff like that because I don't know. Nobody knows at this point. No one knows at this point.
But you know what? You're going to educate yourself on the human avoidance of primates.
And guess what? Maybe if the whole thing
there might
was
be
like,
something in there. You might pull a little golden nugget from that. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe if the whole thing got solved next week, maybe it's something that nobody's thought of yet. And we all just went, holy crap, nobody was right. Okay. I don't know.
Predatory invertebrates.
What you're dealing with is a Bigfoot is everywhere, but it's nowhere. Okay. You were seeing traces and reports of it in every state. You occasionally hear something in Hawaii, maybe not. Let's just say Alaska and the lower 48, all over North America. It's everywhere. It's eating out of people's trash cans. It's crossing the road. It's this and this, but yet there's no bodies. Nobody's found a bone officially at this point. It's bizarre. It's absolutely bizarre. There's so many contradictory elements to this. And the best parallel to that is a trickster influence, something that is contradictory by nature, something that's liminal. It's everywhere, but it's nowhere. Okay. It's always on the boundaries. It's always just out of reach. And that's not really, even if there's a biological creature that's just really good at dodging people, that would not have, what do you got?
Eric Stitt. All the world seems to be supraliminal canvas. Emotional, interactive potential is the paint, and our subconscious mind is the brush. My best guess.
They're saying that there are
pertinent
aspects of the subconscious and consciousness that tie into the UFO topic. Everything from like, well, maybe just people with certain mental gifts that the rest of the population don't have are necessary to interface with these things, all the way to saying that these things are UAPs and their inhabitants basically inhabit a dream state. Okay. that imaginal realm that's right outside of like our physical reality at that point. And then maybe it's something like this. Maybe it's something like this. Maybe, thought experiment time, Bigfoot is a relic hominid that was side by side with us through the Ice Age, before the Ice Age, everything like that, and witnessed Homo sapiens wiping out a lot of megafauna through our cooperative hunting tactics. And at that point, they made a conscious decision of, we're bigger than these things are, we're stronger than these things are, we're faster than these things are, but there's more of them. They cooperate really well, and they just have a gift of slaughter where they just can take down woolly mammoths. They can do everything like that. We need to stay away from them. And that became the overarching, basically, it became just an instinctive pursuit to stay away from humanity. And maybe these creatures were able to identify certain areas in North America where there was like a genius loci, this kind of spirit of the place where weird stuff happened. And they realized that inhabiting these areas helps them stay hidden, because when people come there, they get creeped out and they leave. Or later on, with the advent of modern like equipment, we've got to stay away from these people. We don't know what these pieces of machinery do, but they can't be good for us. But they break down in this area right here. It seems like they're often frustrated and leave out of these areas. This is where we need to be at. Maybe it's something that's not simple, but maybe it's something like that it is a flesh and blood thing that's just basically so geared towards staying hidden that's like the prime directive for it. Everything else comes in second because they've seen how humanity slaughters the hell out of stuff.
Yeah.
And the woo stuff is happening, but it's not originating with the Bigfoot. It's completely different stuff. And maybe even that has a plausible explanation. Something with the Earth's electromagnetic field. Something like that just causes these things to happen. And the weird poltergeist type activity is basically the electromagnetic effects on like the human brain. Who knows at this point, man? Because all we know is something's going on out here. We just don't know what. But why scientists don't take us seriously is that a lot of flesh and blood people really twist regular, like mainstream wildlife biologists may not know what Bigfoot is, but they know the effect a large omnivore has on the environment. And they can go into areas and go, I just don't see it. Okay.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
Scribe. Hate to interrupt, but I just got my college acceptance email. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
To our scribe. The sound effects.
The sound of congratulations, scribe.
Congratulations, scribe.
We got a few things here.
We do have a couple of things here.
Tammy Hardcastle, remember 15 months. Everybody has to have an open mind. And I think that's where we're really lacking here. Our buddy Joseph Cannon, great stream. Thank you there, Mr. Cannon, sir.
Thank you, Cannon.
We've got some royalty in the house tonight.
Marcus Aurelius himself.
Need to go where the stories and evidence leads, not where certain investigators are only able to personally accept their own opinions and mental limitations on personal belief systems. There is a certain thing that one of the things that I always have a hard time with in the Bigfoot community is this thing of just like, I'm somebody who has appeared on TV. I'm better than the rest of you. We turned down being on TV just last month?
Yes.
Because we didn't want to get involved in it. You're a human standing in front of a camera. That doesn't make you better or worse than anybody else, but it kind of puts them in a position where they feel that now they can, we're not going to mention any names, but there were people at one of the conferences that we went to that were speakers that were openly mocking the audience as like toothless hillbillies and dumbass rednecks because they were recounting experiences that didn't match up with my undiscovered gorilla theory, not mine, but that person's, and I'm just going, God, what a dick move to do there, man. So you have one in a cage? No, you don't. Well, then STFU, man. You know what I'm saying? You're batting zero, just like the rest of us are at this point. However, you're batting even more zero because if it was a gorilla, people again are really good at catching stuff and killing stuff. If it was just that gorilla, you got to do a lot of mental gymnastics to explain why we don't have one, or you haven't been able to catch one. Meanwhile, if I'm saying there's stuff going on that seems to be happening outside our understanding of baseline reality, there's some things happening that shouldn't be happening here that affects our equipment, sometimes affects us mentally and physically. There's weird stuff. There's high strangeness going on. That's why we can't catch it. That's a pretty good explanation, man. That's a pretty good.
People are asking for a sound effect for wild ass theories. I just downloaded this. Let's see how this works.
I'll take a vote. What? What is that? What?
It's Little John going, what?
Oh my God, that's perfect for it. Yes, I'll do it one more time. What? All right, that's it. Good job, man. That may be your single greatest contribution to this channel.
Now wait till I get a board and I start producing the show, like with a board. And
like
we're just gonna...
real equipment instead of just our investigation equipment that we just repurposed for the show. It's not showing up. I'm Deborah Stewart. Hey, Deborah, there's a glitch on YouTube and StreamYard and all that where people are showing up as their YouTube handles. It's been off and on for a while. So hopefully it's not just you. Hopefully they're going to get everybody.
I'm going to say that. I think that's pretty good for wild ass theories.
Karen, thank you for my book, which I'm still reading in great show. She got one of Dewey's books,
yes,
right?
She got one of Deuster's books.
We got
Deuster's books he's quite the researcher. His information is very, very dense.
Very
thorough.
He's
exceptionally thorough with everything that he does. And he uncovers things that, some of these cases are cases that have been around for years and years and years.
And then Dewey gets in and
it's like, oh, did you know this? It's like there's details that nobody ever knew were around that existed.
For the quick little side thing for the Mantell Project, nobody could get on the farm where the plane supposedly went down at. And Dewey went up and talked to them and ended up basically going, I'm an author. You like to read books? And then gave the lady who owned the farm some books, and she let Dewey in.
That mustache is
a
skeleton key.
Yeah, Dewey's taking a little break from the paranormal and Bigfoot world right now, but we're thinking of him, missing him. But I guess my thing is that you could sit here all night long and come up with just a variety of different theories on what's going on. All of them would have merits, and then all of them would have things that just kind of precluded them from maybe being the right. But at this point, there's no answer that fits all of this.
Yeah.
Okay. And when I hear people just giving me this straight flesh and blood gorilla aspect, I'm just going, even the most elusive primates on the planet, a wildlife biologist can go out and can tag and bag one if they need to. May take them a little bit of time. So it's almost like you're really doing a lot of like a leap. It becomes a religion almost. You just have to have faith that it's a gorilla, and you can't challenge that notion. You know what I'm saying? And with this, there's just so much weird stuff going on. I think that, and you're never going to get there's never going to be a community. There's so many little. We'll go onto people's live streams that we know, and we'll see like dozens of people that we've never seen before. The community is so big and so splintered, and that's the way it's always going to be, And
everybody's got their own little kind of niches, A lot of people like the story aspect of it. A lot of people really like just hearing encounters, and we don't provide that in any kind of way. So we're not going to get all of those people. So yeah, of course, you've got a community at large. We're all interested in the same subject, but it definitely splinters.
Well, with the advent of social media, you have to recognize that sometimes just coming up with a sensational Bigfoot story out of whole cloth will get you celebrity status with a relatively small group of people, but you still get celebrity status. There are people out there that are well-known, like witnesses and experiencers, who I just don't believe. Sorry. It doesn't come across as a realistic story. And our own experiences with witnesses, as far as like involving witnesses with the investigations, has been frustrating. They flake out, they back up. With the Laurel Creek incident, we weren't even sure whether they were telling us the truth or not. With the most recent case with the Wolfman as she called it, her, and I understand why, but at the same token, that still had a negative impact on our ability to get out and try to like make heads or tails of what's going on. So, and a lot of people do just get into it from the entertainment aspect, and I understand that. I be honest with you, I kind of miss that. I used to enjoy listening to just encounter shows and stuff like that. But now that I've kind of seen behind the curtain, and I know that a lot of them are fake. I mean, people hire writers for some of these shows and then get people to come in and act. I mean, that just happens. I don't want to burst anybody's bubble, but that happens. And guess what? And if that doesn't matter to you, some of the most like enjoyable podcast episodes, I don't know whether they're real or not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I still enjoy listening to them. I still enjoy listening to them. It's like listening to the old like radio serials from like the 1920s and whatnot, but the big thing is that I guess that's heartening that we are starting to see from somebody who's trying to look at it as objectively as possible. A lot of the woo people, yeah, there's the super crazy ones, and I understand that, where you just look at and you just go, this just ain't believable. But the people that are going, I don't know what it is or how this is possible, but this is what's going on, and we have to address it. They're coming across very open-minded, and we are actually getting some pretty good representatives to mainstream public.
I think we're headed in the right direction. I'm excited for the first time in a while. I think you can get Bigfoot blackpilled after a while when you just see just the abysmal state of some of this topic, and how people treat it and how people treat each other, and how people approach it and people's motivations for getting involved in this. And then it just goes off into these weird egotistical spirals. And it's like, aren't we talking about Bigfoot over here? We've completely abandoned the whole Bigfoot thing. But you get Bigfoot blackpilled, but I feel like we're kind of headed in a good direction right now. It kind of brought a little more excitement and faith to it that we're actually headed in a good direction. I'm going to need a wild ass theory because I need to test the sound level on this. So,
all right, hold on, give it to us.
You have to.
All right, let me give you a wild ass theory. Hold on, give me a second. Let me go through my mental Rolodex here.
That's Joe going through his mental Rolodex. He has to look like a rat.
Okay. There is another plane of existence adjacent to our own, like another reality, another dimension, whatever you want to call it. And a lot of the things that people interact with that we call cryptids are common there. Okay. Maybe they're as common as squirrels or whatever there. And these areas of high strangeness, well, there's some sort of dimensional bleed that goes on there. And these things are able to come across and then they go somewhere else. Maybe they don't even end up back where they came from, but they're here. It's a transitory experience. They're here for a short period of time. That could also go into some of the actual legit missing cases. They go into these thin areas and they don't come back. They go somewhere else. That's why you get the footprints that start and then stop, but there still should be a continuation of footprints because of the ground. And that the things that we're interacting with, they're just as confused as we are. They're here. That could explain UFOs possibly. You might have craft coming in from somewhere else, and maybe that explains where some of our missing airplanes go to. Maybe they've got, what was that? MH, the real famous one that went, the one from the Asian flight that disappeared.
Malaysian MH70.
Whatever it is. Maybe that's in an alien hangar on another planet right now, and they're going, it's the strangest thing. They burn this fluid, and these ends get hot. Are they going to invade? We don't know. So
is that it?
Wild ass theory. Go.
What?
Perfect.
Jesus. It took us a while to get there. What? That's great. I increased the volume. Hopefully
that's perfect. So, but here's the deal. I think we need to kind of sit around and be willing to have these kind of silly conversations about what, again, just these thought experiments, because sometimes you start off with something just going, well, maybe this is what's happening.
And there might be one little piece of this conversation, just one little piece of something posed or some part of this conversation that might strike a new idea in someone. It might lead somebody in a direction that will possibly give us some more answers, take us in a direction, pull that thread that hasn't been pulled before.
Well, I mean, again, when you get right down to it, there shouldn't be any ego on this. So far, unless your goal is just to have footprint casts of dubious origins, we're pretty much all failing in the whole proving Bigfoot to the world thing. Some of us have been failing longer than others, but we've all kind of failed at this point.
Yeah.
And I think you kind of have to get into this and just go. I mean, we've gone out on investigations before and go, okay, we thought we were looking for this, but now we're in a, you know, we were out looking for Bigfoot. Now we're on a ghost hunt or whatever in the hell is going on out here. You know what I'm saying? That we need people that are more flexible. You need a flexible mind and you need a flexible skill set to be able to do this. So
we're going to wrap this up in a second. I think we've really, I don't know. I love when we have these conversations because these are conversations that are not, they need to happen more often in this field, but they simply do not. You know, I think that people scratch this, do a very cursory look at this and talk about this sort of thing in a very generic way, but they don't really go into these thought experiments. They don't really confront the issues at hand when it comes to having these discussions. And
flesh and blooders are welcome, but we need everybody to just admit we don't know what's going on out here. There's some weird stuff happening out here. Maybe it has nothing to do with Bigfoot of itself, but it's happening in the same areas that we're going out looking for Bigfoot. There's weird stuff going on. And like Randy from 40 in Tennessee, if you're not willing to admit that, I sometimes challenge whether you're just intellectually dishonest or maybe you're having a completely different experience than what we are. Your experience does not discount ours and your opinion does not discount ours. So I just think that I think that if Bigfoot starts getting, you know, there's so much talk that over the next like 14 months or so, you're going to see like official disclosure. I mean, they've kind of officially disclosed, but I'm talking somebody at a podium literally flat out telling you there's non-human intelligences interacting with the planet.
Yeah.
And they have been for a long time. I think that if that ever happens, it's going to be human nature for at least part of the population to go, well, what else is true that you guys have been telling us is not true and crazy? Bigfoot, lake monsters, like what the hell? And I think that then you're going to see some people going, well, you know, there's been some credible Bigfoot evidence, but there's been some weird stuff going along with that. I mean, if you look at some of the stuff that comes along with UFOs, on like the surface, it seems very unrelated, but it's associated phenomena. The hitchhiker effect, poltergeist activity in people's homes after they encounter like a UAP or a UFO, or they have an alien, you know, abduction encounter, and then weird paranormal stuff starts to come along with that. Some people have reported that with Bigfoot. They have a Bigfoot encounter and then they say that, well, it followed me home. Well, the Bigfoot didn't follow you home. It didn't hitchhike down the highway. Something followed you home and started acting weird around your property. You got a weird look on your face. What are you looking at?
Oh, I don't have a weird look. That's just what I look like.
Yeah, that's just what I look like. Anyway, we're
I can't figure out what the clicking is over here.
Oh, it's me playing with my knife.
Oh,
I was ready for a knife check, but nobody ever called for one.
Jeez, so. Ruiz. I was like, what is
We'll do a knife check to bring us out.
Hey, let's do it. I love that thing.
Drop that comment for me.
Hold
this
on.
is my cold steel frenzy. We're going to start doing knife checks again. Not every night, but sometimes. Cold steel frenzy. And this is one of those things where I'm a little uncomfortable messing around with it. Oh, of course, I'm playing with it under the table here. Playing with it under the table here. Did you hear that?
It's not that kind of show.
Not that kind of show, but Cold Steel Frenzy. It's based on an old Japanese design.
Bruce Beaver is calling BS to you, Joe. This is a challenge. He said, I called for a nut check.
I didn't see it, Bruce. I'm sorry.
Bruce.
Bruce.
Caught up in his own Bigfoot world.
This is like my
talk about ego.
It's very light, it's very thin. it's a giant ass blade, but it's pretty crazy looking. So
Miranda Crew. Miranda's usually the one, but we held off on knife checks for a long time.
We held off on knife checks.
Everybody was respectful of that. Back in the game, boys. This is mine for today. This was my Monster on Morris Mountain gift from Joe. Once I finished it and got it turned in and premiered it, I got this bad boy. I got a limited edition bench-made mini Bedlam carbon fiber scales. She is gorgeous. Look how pretty she is. And she's mean. She's got that swept blade. But yes, it is a bench-made mini Bedlam. I do not carry this very often because I'm scared to death that I'm going to. Something's going to happen to it. So it is a beautiful, beautiful piece.
Hunting Cryptids asked. We will share a members Discord link.
Yeah, I made a note about that. So
and again, if you're interested in supporting this project and at least trying to like keep a couple of weirdos out in the field and supplied with batteries and freeze-dried food and Band-Aids and
the battery fund.
The battery fund.
And the freeze-dried chili mac.
So
boys.
We don't have corporate sponsorship. We can't do that and do what we do. So we are completely community supported.
We're the PBS of the cryptid world, but we're the Muppets.
Yeah, it's pretty fair. But consider helping a brother out. Anyway, we're going to wrap this up, y'all.
And if you join the membership or you're new to the membership and you want to come over to the Discord, we have a private Discord for our members. We will be posting a members only post on the community page on the YouTube channel here. That's going to have a current Discord link on it. That will expire in 7 days. We'll put another one up. But if you want to come and join the conversation over on Discord, it's a happening. It's a happening joint. We also share photos during investigations on there. And then we'll also post when we're about to go live. And we have really cool discussions over there. It's a great little crew. But we want to thank you guys that joined us tonight and every night and going forward. We really appreciate you guys. Yep. You guys rock. And I appreciate that we have a community that is so open-minded and can have fun with the subject. Don't take yourselves too seriously. We don't take ourselves too seriously. We spent the first half of the show talking about our Ric Flair encounters as opposed to our Bigfoot encounters.
This is the funnest, coolest topic on the planet.
Let's have fun.
I can't believe people have turned it into boring and dry. If nothing else,
let's put some gravy on it. You know what I'm saying?
Nothing else. It's a topic that is just so. It showcases like the mysteries and the wonders of the world. So there you go. Anyway, guys, thank you all for joining us.
All right, guys, thank you so much. I'm just going through the end of the chat here. Make sure everything's cool. Everything's right. All right, guys. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. We'll catch you guys soon.
Later, Gators.
Later, Gators. Take care of yourselves. Wait, can I have one short what? Bigfoot shot JFK. What? Yeah! Take care of yourselves and each other. Good night.